Hello, we are going to go over lesson 20, the side scroller project, and I haven't even done this yet. I'm just going to work my way through it, and we can you see how I, talk through it and just kind of reason and figure some stuff out. Um, and this whole video will be one big long video, and then I'll have timestamps just for the different levels and all that good stuff. But I'm just going to work my way through. You see, I am on the first level is the demo. I'm just gonna recreate the frog jump game that they gave us, just nice and basic. All right. So draw the background. So find the comment background, which is right there, line 11, and then use the drawing tools to draw the background. Easy enough. So if you remember from the demo, looks like probably a couple little ellipses. We got a white ellipse up there and a blue background, so that's really all I'm going to recreate right now. So let's get to it. So I find background. All right, I'm going to make a light blue background. Let's double check. Yep, that's light blue. Now I need to make a white cloud, so I'm going to say fill white. Ellipse, and let's give it, I don't know, 80 for the X, 50 for the Y. Let's make it 180 wide and 80 tall. I don't know, I'm just making up numbers. Let's see how that looks. I want it longer, and there's this little like black border around it. So I'm going to say, remember, no stroke makes that. So no stroke takes that little border out. And then if I want to make it longer, let's make this 210. Oop. Good enough. That kind of looks like a cloud. I'm going to move it down a little bit too. Let's move that to 70. Cool. Okay, so there's a cloud. Now I want the ground. So ellipse. So actually I need to change the color. So you know what I'm going to do? I like to use comments for a lot of this stuff. These comments kind of draw me nuts. So draw the ground, another background. So this right here would be the sky and cloud, right? And then I'm going to hit boom, boom, ground, background. And then from there, now I'm going to say, hey, I want that no stroke thing again. I want there to be a fill of like a light brown, which there are none. Let's try this. What's just brown look like? Oh, duh. I need to actually draw the ellipse. All right, let's say X of 100. And then I want it to be down here, so like 350 or something. Let's make it 200 wide and 100 tall. Yuck. That's definitely not the color I want, but we can figure that out as we go. 200. And then I'll just move it down. Move it down more. Sure. Now I need to figure out this color, because that is there a light brown? It's definitely not look brown to my eyes, but no. It just kind of defaulted back to white. Okay, so there is this option here. If you see the drop down, there's RGB. Each one of these things this is the number for red, green, and blue. And so one of the things you can do is if you go to Google, you can type, I know it just from the website stuff that I've done before, HTML color picker. I bet if I typed RGB color picker, yeah, same thing. Okay, but all you got to do is find what color you want. So I want something that's kind of brown. So that's pretty brown, right? Sure. there's my RGB values. 201, 152, 54. So then I'm going to go back to my project. I'm going to say 201. Paste that in. Yuck, what just happened? I don't know why it did that. Let's fix. 201, 52, 54. Okay. There it is. All right. So now all I'm going to do is copy and paste and do another one that's at like 300. There's my ground. Okay. And the reason why I'm recreating the Frogger jump one is one, just to kind of do a basic one, but two, the animation's already given for us. Okay. So there we got that. I hit back, and I did not mean to. Okay, so we got the background done. We're good to go to the next step, which is level 3. Create your sprites. Okay, find the code comment game setup. There it is right there, line 1. Create 3 sprites. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so first one is the frog. So let's make the sprite for the frog. So variable sprite, we'll call it frog. I want it to be right in the middle of the screen, and I want it to start like right there. So let's say 200, 340. And then we need to say frog.setAnimation to frog. And let's see what it looks like. Ta-da! Easy enough, right? Cool. So I don't think we need to scale it or anything like that. Like that size looks great. What's the next one called? Mushroom and fly. All right. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but for mushroom and fly. Mushroom, create sprite. I'm going to make it somewhere over here. So let's say 410. And I don't know, what did I say for my frog? 340? That should be a 340. Obviously I can't see it because it's going to be off the screen, but then I say mushroom, set animation to mushroom. There it is. And it's going to be moving that way. Okay. And again, that scaling looks pretty good, so I don't need to scale it at all. That looks about the size that I want my mushroom. And then my fly, I need to make another one for the fly. I actually don't know how to make these little like white blocks. I never noticed that all of these also have little comment things on them, so that's kind of cool. The only way I've known to make the little blocks, little white blocks, is by actually putting in a space in the text area. See, and then another little white block shows up. But here we go. Variable, we'll call it fly. Let's make it, again, we want this to start off screen. I'm going to put it on screen for now just to make sure it has the correct sizing. And it needs to be called fly. That's about right. That's cool. I wondered how they did that, the little flapping. So it's going back and forth between these two frames. And then this, the turtle and the hare, just shows how fast it does it. That's cool. I did not know that. All right. Let's see. So I got my fly. It's flapping. It's the right scale. It's the size I want it and everything like that. Let's now take it off screen. So let's say like 440, 200. It's off screen. Okay. And I think that's it for this one. All I need to do is, all right, scale them. I did. Place them where you want them to be, on or off screen. Set the starting X velocity of the target. Okay. So, here we go. my mushroom and my fly are going to have x velocity. So let's say mushroom, x velocity. It's moving to the left, which means that it's going to have a negative x velocity. So I'm going to say negative, I don't know, 2. That might be really slow. Let's see. We can't figure out what sprite. Oh, here, we'll just delete that for now. That's real slow. Let's make that negative 5. That might be real fast. That's not bad. My computer's running so slow. Okay. Now let's do the same thing for fly. Did they move the same speed before? I don't remember. Fly, let's say negative 4. Oh, I hit undo earlier. Negative 5. It's like, why is it going so slow? There we go. Okay. So they both have velocities. Cool. I think that's it for a level 3, create your sprites. Now I'm going to go up to level 4, player controls. The up arrow should make the player jump. Jump up when the key is pressed, go down when you're high enough, don't fall to the ground. Okay, so let's find jumping. There it is, line 42 for me right now. It says jumping. The players reach the ground, stop moving down. Okay, for me right here, remember the ground is when the frog is at its lowest point. So again, just the thought process. If the frog reaches the ground, that already to me means I'm going to be doing some type of if statement, what's called a conditional statement, right? If the frog reaches the ground. Again, thinking programming, that's like if the frog's y location reaches a certain point. Well, we had put the frog at a starting point of 200, 340. So its y coordinate when it starts is 340. So I'm going to say something to the extent of if frog dot y is equal to 340. And remember, when we say equal to, we have to use the 2 equal signs. That's the way we check equality. If it's equal to 340, I want its y velocity to be 0. I want that frog to stop. So I'm going to say frog dot velocity y has to get 0. Okay? I can't really check this yet because it's not doing anything other than 0. Also, this should be right there. If the player reaches the ground, which for me the ground is 340, frog stops moving. Okay. If the player presses the up arrow. So again, that wording, if key is pressed, right? So if, I'm going to do another if statement. If key down, or key went down, I'm going to say key down. If key down, up. So that means if I press the up arrow. What do I want it to do? Well, I want the frog to start moving up. So I'm going to say frog dot y velocity. Let's say, I actually don't remember. I would assume negative makes it move up, but let's put positive. Let's put 5. And I want to try this because I'm thinking this positive. Remember, 0y is up here, which means that the y values get bigger as they go down. So this might actually move it down. But let's see. Yep. So I want negative 5. Okay, cool. So he moves up when I hit the down button. The next thing is if the player reaches the top of the jump, it needs to come back down, right? So again, that wording, if, I'm going to have a conditional, if. So think about when it reaches the top, what happens? That means that the y coordinate of the frog has reached a certain location. So let's say right there. I look at this spot right here. If I want the frog to go that high, then it's about, let's say 70. Okay? So now I do my if statement. If the frog's y position, so frog dot y, is equal to 70. You know what I should say? This would actually be a better way of saying it. Less than or equal to. If frog dot y is less than or equal to 70, that means it gets to 70 or, less than it, above it. Then what I need to do is I need to say this. Let's say this exact same thing. All right, I just copy and pasted. But instead of going up, I want it to go down now. So I'm going to change that negative to a positive. So let's see. All right, I hit the up arrow. When it gets up to about 70, boink, and then it should stop. Boink, cool. Because there, frog y got to 340, so it stopped. And you know what? I'm going to actually change this one too. I'm going to say greater than if frog.y is greater than or equal to 340. That's going to drive me nuts. Let's see what negative 10 and 10 looks like. Boing. Much better. Okay, cool. I think we're good. Let's check. Add additional the checks where the player has pressed the up key, test your code, add a condition. Cool. Yep, we did all those things. All right, moving on to level 5. Looping. The obstacle mushroom and the target fly need to loop back to the other side. Because right now when I hit run, when the mushroom goes off, it's gone. Never comes back. I want it to go back and then go. So what we need to do, find the comment that says looping. All right, it's right there. For me, that's line 61. Yours might be a different line because your code might be different. But I got line number 61. If the obstacle, which for us that's the mushroom, right? If the obstacle has gone off the left-hand side of the screen, move to the right. So again, the wording if, right? That's a conditional. That's an if statement. So if the mushroom has gone off the left side of the screen. Well, what's the left side of the screen? That is where x is less than or equal to 0, right? So I'm going to have an if statement, and I'm going to say if mushroom dot x is less than or equal to 0. And you notice sometimes I type it, sometimes I do the blocks. I used to always type. I learned by typing. One is not better than the other. I just, whatever my brain feels like doing at the time. Okay, if mushroom.x is less than 0, that means it's all the way to the left. What do I want it to do? I want its x position to be all the way back over here again. So let's start it like just off screen. Let's say, hey, Sprites, let's say mushroom.x, let's say equals 410. Okay, it's going to go off and then yoink. Let's say 410. Here, I'm going to get crazy. I'm going to say 410 plus. Can I not do that? Here, let's just get this out of there. Let's do the math one. Because I want it to be a little different every time. Don't want to be too boring, right? So I'm going to say 410. It's always 410. And then I'm going to add a random number between negative 20 and 20. So what it's going to do, it'll be 410 could be 390 or it could be 430. So let's see, what's that look like? So that one, it started right there. All right, it's pretty much the exact same thing every time. Should I do it different? -20 and let's say 50. That was a little different. That's pretty much the same exact thing every time. Oh well. I tried getting fancy. We'll see. I might play around with that a little bit more. Okay. So we did that. If the target has gone off the left side of the screen, so remember the target is the fly, right? So we're going to do something really similar. So you know what? Smart programmer, copy paste. But now instead of mushroom, it's going to be fly. I need to make these things faster so I don't go nuts. There you go. Okay. Now here's the crazy thing. You notice some people were asking the fly, its X position gets up there, but the X position or the Y position, like where it's at, also changes, right? So I want to randomize the Y position by a little bit. So we need to say, hey, fly.y, let's also change its Y position. Fly.y, and I want it to be random. So I'm going to say be some random number between, I don't know, what 340 was the bottom where the frog, the ground was, right? Let's say 1 and 340. Shoot, why not? Let's try it. Ah, there we go. So the Y is being randomized. It has chosen some similar ones. Hopefully at some point it's going to come back down here to actually prove that it's random. Okay, that's real random. Hey, there we go. So yeah. All right. I think that's it. Looks pretty good. Okay, moving on to the next one. Sprite Interactions. Where are we at? How far am I? In the sample game, the obstacle mushroom rotated. The health decreased when the player frog touched it. All right, so this is probably the one that I was getting the most questions about. So Sprite Interactions. There we go. Line 35 for me. Again, yours might be totally different, but we want to make a conditional that checks whether the player sprite is touching the obstacle sprite. So again, this was everything that we did last Thursday. If you go look, it is lesson 19. So if you need to go back and kind of refresh yourself, that's the collision detection. But that's where we learned all of the is touching function type stuff. Okay, it's technically called a method, but that's okay. So yeah. So again, we use those with conditionals, with if statements, to basically say like, hey, if this thing is touching this thing, then run this code, right? So here's how we go. So Sprite interaction. If the player touches the obstacle, health goes down. So you notice there's these two variables up here. We made a variable called score, and we made a variable called health. Okay? So if, and then I'm going to add the is touching. Let's see. There it is. So is touching. If frog dot is touching the obstacle, the thing that hurts you is mushroom. Okay. If frog dot is touching mushroom, what do I want to happen? I want health to decrease by some amount. So what we can do is, that is a counter pattern. So again, same thing. If you know, counter pattern doesn't sound familiar at all. It's pretty early on. Let's see. Maybe. Well, I think it was with movement when we did movement for the sprites. So sprites, sprite movement. Pretty sure it's in there somewhere. Okay, but the counter pattern is the one where, watch, we say health equals health minus something. So I'm going to say, boom. So I would say, hey, health equals health minus 1. Or minus whatever number you want. But what this does is in this orange one, remember this gets run first. And this says, hey, whatever health is, subtract 1 from it. And now assign that new number to health. So it just keeps decreasing your health. Okay? So let's try it. I didn't tell it? Oh, okay. There we go. So I never told it to print up here. I guess that's something they just gave us. In fact, I didn't even look for that. Where does it say? So it gives us the stuff for some scoreboard. All right, so honestly, that's it. We say, hey, if they're touching, let's do this little counter pattern and decrease. Okay, if the target is touching, or if the player is touching the target. So now let's say, hey, if, all right, if frog is touching fly, well then we want the score to go up, right? So I'm going to make something that's really similar to this one, but now I'm going to say, hey, let's make score, because remember there's this variable called score, and it starts at 0. Score equals, and I'm increasing the score, so I'm going to add to it. Score plus 1. Oh, they must give us the health and not give us the score. They're probably going to ask us to do the score thing first. So create a conditional, if they're touching, increase the score, move the target back to the right of the screen. I don't know, let's see. Add scoreboard and health meters. So this has a health meter. It doesn't have a score meter. Okay, I'm literally going to just copy this. And so I'm going to add a comment. I'm going to say health meter. And then I'm going to say this is going to be the score meter. Or score, yeah, sure, score meter. Okay, text size, we're going to say score. And then score, and I'm going to change their coordinates so they're not right on top of each other. I'm going to say 80, and then this added 70 to it, so I'm going to add 70 to this. I'm going to say 150. Okay, not the, I could resize this, but let's make this, there you go, it's touching. Now it's only, it's counting up way too much, so we can do something with that. But okay. In fact, I think in the collision detection, I think they had an example just like this. Actually, it may have been the challenge one. Let's see. Hold on. And this might have been like a weird way around it. But if ghost is touching coin, increase points by 1. So they just got rid of it. I don't know the basic. And then they had us move. That way it doesn't keep, you know, actually like adding points. As soon as you add a point, it just moved the coin. We want, as soon as it adds a point, to actually make the fly go away. So how can we make the fly go away? Well, here's all the things that we can do to sprites. Bounce, bounciness. Destroy sounds intriguing. But destroy is going to make it go back away. Oh, you know what we can do? We can just reset it. So really similar to what that one example did. We can say if fly, no, that's for the looping. Where's the touching part? There we go. If frog is touching fly, score equals score plus 1. And then let's just do this exact same thing that we did before. Let's just loop it. Oh, I just want these two. There we go. So if frog is touching fly, it adds 1 to the score, and then it just resets the fly back on the right-hand side of the screen. Cool. All right. Sounds good. Sprite interaction. I think that's pretty much everything. Okay. Now, when it says this, you may want to use watchers to keep track of your score and health. That's in this little debug console down at the bottom. If I add a watcher, if I type something in here, if I say score, that's going to keep track. It's going to watch what value is assigned to this variable right now. Right? So when I first hit reset and run again, it's going to be 0. Now it's going to add 1, right? So it's keeping track of what this variable, any variable, you can do this for any variables that you have in this, right? Cool thing is I could say, hey, what's fly.x? And when I run this, watch what happens. Hey, it's moving to the left. And then it's going to reset. Hey, it's back on the right. So you can, like, any type of property or variable you can watch, keep track of. That's what a watcher is, in case you ever need it. Scoring and scoreboard. I think I just did that earlier. I got a little ahead of myself. Okay. But yeah, I made my score meter. What I can do now is see how it's like not over on the left-hand side. So let's say score, I want to be actually at 10. And then this one was 70 to the right. So let's make that 80 then. Actually, that's because the word health was kind of long. So let's actually just make that closer. Let's make that like 65. Too close. 70. There we go. Easy enough. Cool. But yeah, all I did was I literally just copied this piece for the health meter and I pasted it down here and changed some things about it. I made it, the text is going to say the word, the string, score, and I know that it's going to type out that text because it's in quotes, right? Here below, it says just the word score with no quotes, and that's really important. No quotes means that this is a variable. So whatever value is assigned to my variable score at the time, it's going to print out whatever my variable score is, right? So that's the same thing that's going on there for health. I think that's it. Honestly, I think I got pretty much everything. You could go like more in depth with this and start adding like, I don't know, whatever other tweaks you want, but this is pretty much everything. And just playing around with it, right? Like I have now recreated that game. This is a good practice for doing that kind of stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Good luck. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up either like in class. Do it in class. I was going to say do it in the comments, but don't do that. Talk to me in class. All right. I will see you guys later.